Imagine you are standing at the altar. You know, you have the rings, you said the vows, the ink on the marriage contract is like barely dry.
Right.
But the moment you turn around to face your guests, you haven't just gained a spouse. You have instantly inherited a small, highly structured corporate empire.
Oh, absolutely. It's a massive shift.
And there is no honeymoon period to figure out how to run it. Like, to survive in your new social stratum, you are expected to step into the role of CEO for this massive, complex human machine.
Yeah.
And you have to manage it flawlessly from day one.
It is a staggering transition. I mean, you go from being presumably a highly sheltered daughter in a noble house to suddenly acting as the chief executive.
Wow.
And not just that, but the head of public relations and the supreme judge of a sprawling mobile village.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Today is Wednesday, March 25, 2026, and we are unpacking a truly fascinating historical blueprint.
We really are.
Our grounding text today is a manual from the year 1700 called La Maison Reglée, which translates to the regulated house.
Very fitting title.
Seriously. And our mission today is to explore the incredibly intricate household of a lady of quality in early 18th century high society.
Specifically looking at chapters 1 through 5 of this second book.
Exactly. We are going to look at the mechanisms of how an aristocratic woman balanced her pristine public honor with the intense, highly guarded private management of her inner circle.
It's such a delicate balance.
Okay, let's unpack this. I want to start with the sheer physical scale of what happens the moment a great lord gets married.
Right. The manual makes it very clear that a wedding is basically the ultimate catalyst for a hiring boom.
A hiring boom. I like that.
Yeah, because when a lord marries, his household doesn't just, add a few extra plates to the dining table.
Right.
The arrival of a lady requires the acquisition of an entirely new division of staff, simply to ensure she can exist in the world according to her rank.
I was reading the baseline requirements for this new division, and it frankly sounds exhausting just to read, let alone manage.
Oh, it's a huge list.
The moment she arrives, the household must immediately add an equerry, a waiting lady, a chambermaid, a valet de chambre, a page, a maître d'hôtel, a cook, an officer, a kitchen maid, 4 footmen, a coachman's boy, and a postilion.
Which is a lot of people to suddenly be responsible for.
A ton. And for anyone wondering, the postilion is the specialized rider who actually sits on the left-hand lead horse to navigate the carriage through narrow, muddy 18th century streets.
And we really cannot overlook the livestock required to keep that specific mobile village moving.
Oh, right, the horses.
Yeah, you need 7 carriage horses plus 4 saddle horses just for the officers of the household to ride alongside.
11 horses, and that is before any children even arrive.
Exactly.
The manual casually notes that once kids are in the picture, you have to acquire a governess, a wet nurse, a tutor, another valet specifically for the children, more footmen, and this is my absolute favorite detail, a dedicated servant whose only job is to serve the wet nurse.
It creates this fascinating cascade of dependency.
I'm just struggling to see how this doesn't collapse under its own weight. Like, if I hire an equerry to manage my carriage, and a valet to manage my clothes, and a servant to manage my wet nurse,
Yeah.
who is managing all of them?
Well, the lady is supposed to.
Right, but it sounds less like a display of honor and more like a recipe for constant embezzlement and logistical nightmares.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
So did she actually need 4 footmen just to get through a Tuesday? Or was this purely an 18th century flex of wealth?
To really understand the mechanism here, we have to look at the socioeconomic reality of the year 1700. In this era, personnel was the absolute ultimate display of power.
Okay.
A lady's honor was not some conceptual internal feeling. It was a physical mass.
A physical mass.
Yeah, it was directly tied to the physical footprint of her entourage.
Hmm.
In aristocratic French society, your public reputation was your primary currency.
Right, because everyone is watching everyone else.
Precisely. You couldn't just tell people you were important.
Yeah.
You had to visually demonstrate that importance every single time you crossed a threshold.
So vulnerability is almost disguised as power here.
How do you mean?
Like, the more people you have swarming around you, the more powerful you look, even though you are actively creating more points of failure for your own reputation.
Yes. That is the core tension of this entire manual.
Right.
Having a cook is functional, right? You need to eat.
Right.
But having 4 footmen and an equerry walking by your side is entirely about projecting flawless order.
Wow.
Every single person in that livery is an extension of the lady's body in the eyes of society.
Okay, so let's look at the outer ring of this defense system, starting with the equerry.
Good place to start. Chapter 2.
Yeah, based on the text, I view him as sort of the director of PR and the head of security rolled into one. He is the vanguard.
The equerry's entire existence is built around the lady's public movement. Like, his domain is the street, the carriage, and the exterior world.
The manual states his duty consists of directing the equipage and managing all the liveried staff.
Right.
When the lady goes to mass or takes promenades or pays social visits, he is walking right by her side.
He's the buffer.
Exactly. He is the one physically handing her in and out of the carriages, receiving her orders, and greeting people on her behalf. He acts as her official proxy before anyone is allowed to get close to her.
And because of that proxy status, the pressure on him to maintain discipline is just immense.
Well, I can imagine.
He has to ensure the livery uniforms are pristine, the carriage is spotless, and the horses are perfectly groomed.
Which goes right back to that idea of vulnerability. If the coachman is drunk or a footman is mouthing off in the street, society does not blame the coachman.
Not at all. They blame the lady.
Right.
They view a chaotic entourage as a direct reflection of a chaotic, dishonorable mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if her staff is unruly, her honor is compromised. So the equerry is the physical manifestation of her public shield.
That is a lot of pressure on one guy.
It really is. His job is to absorb all the unpredictability of the 18th century street so that nothing chaotic touches her reputation. He basically creates a bubble of total control.
That makes perfect sense for the streets. You have your heavily armed, perfectly dressed bubble.
Right.
But eventually, she has to step out of the carriage and actually interact with other aristocrats.
Yeah, she does.
She enters a house or hosts people in her own drawing rooms. And that brings us to Chapter 3 and the next layer of defense.
The demoiselle suivante.
Yes, the waiting lady.
The manual is incredibly explicit about her primary purpose. She is placed near a lady simply to, quote, do her honor.
Which sounds incredibly vague until you look at the mechanics of her daily life.
It really does sound vague, yeah.
On a practical level, she has to know how to dress the lady's hair and adjust it fashionably to suit her exact face shape.
Right, the styling aspect.
But the personality requirements are what really stand out to me. The book mandates that she must be complacent, always of good humor, and she must absolutely never cause the lady any chagrin by anything she does.
She is essentially the suspension system on the carriage of the lady's social life.
Oh, I love that image. The lady is riding over the very bumpy cobblestones of aristocratic drama and household management.
Yeah.
And the waiting lady's job is to absorb every single shock so the lady doesn't even feel a vibration.
That is exactly how she functions.
Yeah.
She operates primarily in the anteroom, which is the space just outside the lady's most private quarters.
Okay.
So when guests arrive, the waiting lady is the one entertaining them, keeping the mood light and fashionable while they wait.
She is like an aristocratic HR manager mixed with a high-end receptionist.
That's a great way to put it.
Because the text even details how she handles internal drama among the other female servants. She is required to judge their disputes charitably and ensure that the person who is in the wrong doesn't somehow win over the person who is in the right.
Think about the strategic value of that, though. A lady of quality cannot be bothered with petty squabbles between kitchen maids or footmen.
No, she'd look ridiculous.
Exactly. If the lady has to descend from her pedestal to break up a shouting match over stolen ribbons, she lowers her own status.
Right, she loses that pristine image.
So the waiting lady absorbs all of that domestic friction. She actively manipulates the environment, judging those disputes, soothing egos, keeping the peace.
So the lady only ever experiences a perfectly smooth, good-humored reality.
Precisely.
She is curating a vibe. It is highly controlled emotional labor.
It really is.
The equerry controls the physical environment on the streets, and the waiting lady controls the emotional environment in the drawing rooms.
They are the outward-facing shields. But once you move past the anteroom, you breach the final perimeter.
The inner sanctum.
Yes, you enter a completely different realm of vulnerability.
The bedroom. So, having explored the public-facing staff in chapters 2 and 3, we have to look at chapters 4 and 5, the highly guarded private world of the lady's personal life.
And the most critical figure here is the femme de chambre.
The chambermaid. If the waiting lady is the suspension system, the chambermaid is the keeper of secrets.
The level of intimate access the chambermaid has is just unparalleled in the household.
The details of her daily duties show just how physical this role is. Like, she washes and starches the delicate laces and gauzes.
Right.
She makes the bed. She ties the lady's ribbons and physically puts on and takes off her shoes. But she isn't just a laundress.
Not at all.
The manual describes her acting almost like a private pharmacist and a medical professional.
You have to remember, in 1700, medical care was highly intimate. It often involved humoral medicine, preparing poultices, or dealing with bodily fluids.
Oh, yeah.
You really do not want a rotating cast of strangers handling that.
Definitely not. The text says she has to know how to prepare and administer remedies with address or skill.
Right.
She prepares the foot baths, she mixes special paste to clean and soften the lady's hands. And on top of bathing the lady and administering medicine, she is the one holding the keys to the jewel box.
That's a massive amount of trust.
Huge. She guards the necklaces, the diamonds, the entire wardrobe. She keeps a strict rolling inventory of all the most valuable portable assets the lady owns.
And because she has this level of access, I mean, she literally has her hands on the family diamonds and is applying medical paste to the lady's skin.
Yeah.
The moral expectations placed on her are incredibly heavy. The manual actually emphasizes her character over her actual physical skills.
I noticed that. The author explicitly demands that she be extremely clean, wise, and honest. She must be discreet.
She cannot be gossipy.
Right, she cannot be a rogue, and the text specifically notes she cannot have a, quote, dark soul.
Cannot have a dark soul.
That is quite the bullet point for a resume, but it highlights the terrifying power dynamic at play here.
It is basically a state of mutually assured destruction. Think about what the chambermaid knows.
She knows everything.
She knows the true state of the lady's health. She knows what the lady looks like naturally without the elaborate corsetry, the makeup, and the towering hair.
Right?
She knows the family's true financial state because she is inventorying the jewels.
Which is so important.
Yeah, because in this era, those jewels might be the only liquid wealth a woman actually controls if her husband goes bankrupt.
Oh, wow. Good point.
And she also hears every single private conversation whispered in that bedroom.
So if a chambermaid were a gossip, or if she were easily bribed by a rival family, she could dismantle the lady's carefully constructed public honor before breakfast.
Exactly, which is why the manual acknowledges that a good chambermaid is universally loved by the household.
Because they're terrified of her.
Well, you aren't just paying her for starching lace, right? You are paying a premium for her silence and her loyalty.
The text actually says that when she eventually leaves the service, the lady will set her up advantageously for the rest of her life.
That's a golden parachute.
Yeah, you buy her a little shop or you pay her dowry because you are ensuring that your secrets remain locked in the vault forever.
Exactly. The chambermaid manages the physical body and the secrets. But there is one more role in this private sanctum, and it governs the physical space of the bedroom itself.
Chapter 5.
The valet de chambre.
Okay, this is the role that completely broke my brain because of who they actually hired to do it.
Yeah, it's unexpected.
The manual notes that the lady's valet is almost always drawn from one of two professions, a women's tailor or a tapestry maker, which is what we would call an upholsterer.
It sounds incredibly random to a modern listener.
It really does. I'm picturing a guy with a mouthful of pins trying to act as a personal assistant. Like, why is her valet an upholsterer?
We have to look at the mechanics of domestic spaces in 1700. These grand aristocratic houses were essentially massive, drafty stone boxes.
Right, no central heating.
None. To make them livable, they turned the rooms into giant indoor dens of incredibly expensive heavy velvet and tapestry.
Okay.
They used these fabrics to block the drafts, cover the walls, and drape the beds.
So maintaining the room itself required a specialized physical laborer.
Precisely. The heavy tapestries had to be constantly taken down, beaten to prevent vermin and moths, repaired and rehung.
Wow.
So if he is a tailor, he is making and mending her heavy dresses, keeping her silhouette to the absolute latest fashion. And if he is an upholsterer, he is managing the physical architecture of her private space.
But he is doing so much more than interior design.
Oh, yeah.
His specific daily duties turn him into something entirely different. Like, he makes the fires in her room, he prepares the evening candles,
Yep.
and he is the one who holds the bedroom door when she wakes up and goes to bed so that absolutely no one enters unannounced without her explicit permission.
He is literally working the velvet rope at the most exclusive club in the house. The ladies' bedroom.
He's a bouncer who also sews your dresses.
It's a unique skill set.
And if the lady is hosting a game night in her room, he is the one who sets up the tables, arranges the cards, and organizes the dice.
Right.
Imagine writing a job posting for this today. Seeking applicant must have elite sewing skills, be capable of hauling heavy furniture, act as a private security bouncer at my bedroom door, and work as a casino manager setting up dice games.
When you look at the sum of those bizarre parts, you realize what the valet is actually doing.
What's that?
He is actively curating her private social life.
How does setting up dice make him a curator?
Well, in French high society, the lever and the coucher, the acts of waking up and going to bed,
Right.
they were not entirely private. They were highly exclusive, semi-public social events where favored guests were invited into the bedroom to chat with the lady while she prepared for the day or the evening.
Ah, okay.
So by controlling that door, the valet determines who gets access to the lady in her most relaxed state.
He is filtering her social circle.
Yes, he blends physical security with high society hospitality. By arranging the heavy tapestries to ensure the room is warm, lighting the candles perfectly so everyone looks good, and setting up the gaming tables.
He sets the whole stage.
He is the invisible hand that makes her private socializing feel effortless to her guests.
Hmm.
Just as the equerry shields her out on the muddy streets, the valet shields her in her own home.
That is fascinating.
He ensures that her private environment is just as controlled, just as fashionable, and just as secure as her public one.
This entire system is just a masterclass in delegated survival.
It really is.
I want you, the listener, to think about this the next time you feel completely overwhelmed managing a cross-functional team at work. Or honestly, just trying to organize a group chat to get 5 friends to agree on a dinner reservation.
Yeah, it puts it in perspective.
Think about this lady of quality.
She was operating on an entirely different plane of management.
She was running a massive, highly sensitive human machine, and she was doing it without smartphones, without project management software, without instant messaging.
Just relying on her people.
Exactly. She relied entirely on the extreme discretion, the highly specialized skills, and the absolute discipline of this inner circle just to maintain her basic place in society.
Her survival literally depended on them.
Her suspension system waiting lady, her human shield equerry, her secret keeper chambermaid, and her bouncer tailor valet, all playing their parts without a single dropped cue.
And looking at the sheer weight of that dependency leaves us with something really profound to chew on.
Oh.
We started by talking about how personnel was the ultimate display of power.
Right, the physical mass of honor.
Exactly. But when we look at the mechanics of this rigid structure, considering that the chambermaid held the keys to the liquid wealth and intimately knew every vulnerability,
Yeah.
and the valet literally controlled the physical doorway to the bedroom, deciding who was allowed to enter.
Right.
It raises a massive question about 18th century high society. Who actually held the real functional power?
Wow. That is the million-dollar question.
Was it the lady who sat at the center of the room, supposedly in charge of this corporate empire? Or was it the invisible staff who curated her entire existence, shielded her from the world, and held all of her vulnerabilities in their hand?
When you suddenly inherit that machine at the altar, you might hold the title of CEO, but you are entirely at the mercy of the people turning the gears.
If they stop turning or turn the wrong way, the empire falls.
We'll leave you to think about that one.